Cuddlies. Okay, so as promised, these are the ingredients I use to make my homemade burgers and my homemade meatballs. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff here. So a couple of things are for the meatballs only, and a couple of things are for the burgers only. Now, I use spring mix. I chop it up with scissors and I put it in, and I'm going to show you how to do that, don't worry. Spring mix, and I use, it's a pork, veal, and beef mix, and then a pound of pork underneath, and then I use foie gras, which I only recently started using. And now listen, I know there's a lot of debate about foie gras and how it's made. However, there are places here in Quebec that actually have ethical feeding standards, and instead of force feeding the ducks or whatever, they actually just give them enough food so that they just eat as much as they want. And I looked that up online, so that's a good thing. This is what we're going to use for the meatballs. We're going to use that for the meatballs. And then I've got some blue cheese here and some bacon. Sodium reduced, very important. Some sodium reduced bacon for the hamburgers. And then here we have some onion salt, garlic salt, and Italian flavored breadcrumbs. My coffee, of course. Can't go a day without that. That would just be a sacrilege. And then we have some cracked pepper we're going to use. And of course, you know, it's like that Frank's Red Hot commercial. I wish Sriracha did one and it said I put that shit on everything, because I really do put this shit in everything. So, let's get started. What we're going to do is we're going to move some stuff out of the way. I'm going to get my scissors. Now, these scissors are actually scissors that I only use on meal prep. So, opening up a package of food or cutting lettuce and stuff, and they're washed immediately after. So here we go. We're gonna open up our 3-pack meat, which actually turns out to a lot of meat. There we go. We're just gonna set this in the sink. And then we've got our pork here. We're gonna open that up as well. Woo, some juicy pork. Throw that in the sink. And there we go. Now, we're going to give this, just the way it is, a good mix. Now, this should ideally make a very small, you know, portion of meatballs. I think about 12 of them, and about 4 hamburgers once everything is mixed in together. Now, we're going to put our egg in. I like to use the entire egg. I don't know why. I know that they say you should only use the white, but I use the whole egg. So, here we go. What? And we're going to mix that in as well. For those of you who don't know, the egg is actually what keeps everything together. And what I do is I squish it through my fingers so that I know that I'm getting a really good mix of what's going on here. It's so funny, the boys are sitting over in the corner watching me. Like, what's going on over there? Why is she talking to herself again, that crazy bitch? Now, I'm going to rinse my hands. I have one of those automatic cleansers there, because when I'm using, you know, pork and other things, I want to make sure that my hands are clean. I'm not cross-contaminating, because unfortunately I have actually had food poisoning before. Now, normally after I wash my hands, I would use a rag to rinse my, to dry my hands with. But, you know, when I'm doing multiple stuff like this, I like to use paper towel, just because it's, yeah. Now we're going to rinse the blood off of that plate, of course. So, now, I'm going to make this meat by itself the same way that I would make everything together. We're going to pull this out of the way. So now, these are our seasoned breadcrumbs. Let's take a look at that. And just liberally sort of sprinkle them over. I never measure my breadcrumbs. I just go until I feel a consistency that I like. Onion salt. So the bottom here, this is actually like a pre-measured. So what you do is, this is a teaspoon. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4 full turns. So that's about 3 or 4 teaspoons. And then again, here's the garlic, same thing. Sometimes the moisture in the area gets a little, you gotta give it a good kick there. There we go, that should be fine. Now let's try it. Oh. There we go. Hot sauce. And I love hot sauce. Ooh, sugar. I love hot sauce, but you have to remember that not everyone likes hot sauce. So what I do is I like to do it to flavor. Just enough to flavor. So remember, I'm also adding more meat to this. So while that does look like a lot of hot sauce right now, it won't actually be a lot of hot sauce once everything is taken apart. And then here's our pepper. I count to usually 20. Okay. And now we're going to mix that together. Oh, it smells so heavenly. It's unbelievable how good this smells. Give it a turn and then mix it some more. See how that, now I've got sauce all over me. So what I like to do is just push it back in. Now, I'm washing again because, like I said, I'm going to use other stuff in there and I don't want to cross-contaminate. Now, here's my green onions. I like to leave my green onions in the fridge until I'm absolutely ready to use them. We're going to take the bigger one here. We're going to just cut the dead tops off. Nothing major. And now I have seen a lot of these fancy cutting things. Just get yourself a good knife set that comes with a good pair of scissors. This is Cuisinart, and what I do is I just and I go straight down. I keep going all the way to the very base. People stop when they're using green onions. They stop when they're using they stop at the end of the green here, right? You can go right into the white part of a green onion, and I actually think that that part actually has the most flavor to it. So I usually go like right down until I possibly cannot cut anymore. Here we go. Almost, almost. There we go. And now we're gonna add some spring mix. I put spring mix in my burgers and in my meatballs, so yeah. And what I like to do is I like to just grab a big bunch of it like that, get my scissors ready again, and just start cutting. Some pieces are going to be bigger than others. It doesn't really matter, you know? And I don't know, oh God, those green onions smell amazing. I wish you could smell how this smells right now. I don't know why I got into putting spring mix in. I used to put just, oh actually Actually, the reason, that's so funny that I just remembered that. The reason that I started putting spring mix in one time is because I had a spring mix that was going bad, and I thought, well, maybe I could just add it to my burger, because I used to put spinach in my burgers. And I loved the flavor so much and the texture that I just started doing it all the time. So there you go. Now watch, when we mix it up, it's going to look so good. Feel free to jump in and cut your fingernail off. I'm kidding, I didn't, but that was close. Now, you're going to mix it all together again. You want to make sure that you see green in every part. You know, you want to see this salad mix stuff in everything, so you make sure it's mixed up really good. Okay, so there we go. That is our base, our plain base, I guess. That's our just the plain base for the meatballs and for my hamburgers. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this in half. And that should make about 4, actually we're going to take a little less than that. We're going to put this in a secondary bowl, because that is going to be our burgers. Now, we're going to cut open the foie gras. Something I noticed about using foie gras in my burgers is that they turn out super, super moist. Now, it's always so hard getting into this container. Why can't they make stuff Samantha proof? I don't know. And we put the whole thing in. Look at that. There we go. Get it all mixed through there. Oh, I became addicted to foie gras living here in Laval, because I tried it one day. Of course, it was on sale, so I'm like, okay, it's on sale, just give it a shot. Now, here's the one thing. I know I keep saying now here, but whatever, I don't care. It's my channel. Here's the thing about foie gras. It's going to make your burgers very, very sticky. So you're going to want to put just a little bit more breadcrumbs in it. Lightly over top. There we go. Whew. Now, give it another really good mix. And there you have it. That is your meatball right there. That's the actual mix that I use for my meatballs. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move this out of the way. And I'm actually just going to use these paper towels here to bring this dish over. This is what we're going to use for the meatballs to freeze it in. Whew. Throw that out. We need to cut some wax paper because we don't want the meatballs sticking to the bottom. Now, I also need wax paper for my burgers. So, we're going to put a little extra here. that right there. And here we go. The secret that I learned to making great meatballs and keeping them with their meatball shape is actually flash freezing them for about an hour after I make them so that they get, you know, so that they're hard and they'll retain their shape. And you can put anything in a meatball. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what kind of meat you use. Anything in a meatball is going to be great. Well, from what I know. And of course, they know everything. God. So it looks like we're going to have way more than enough here to do maybe 2 foie gras burgers too. So here we go. I think we might have enough for 12 in here. Just a little less. So we might not have enough for a burger, and that is actually okay with me. Because, there we go. And it's okay if they're touching, because when you go to put them into the sauce, it's just like buying a Kit Kat. You just snap it in half. There it is. So it looks like I have enough for a small burger, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take that meat and add it to some of the smaller meatballs here. And I'll tell you the truth, I've actually been known to just eat the meatballs because they're that good. So some of them are bigger than others, and I don't really mind. There we go. And let's do half on that one. And then where's another smaller one? We'll add that to this one here. Okay. Clean out your bowl, get all that extra meat. You don't want to waste it. And that is how I make my homemade meatballs. Ta-da! They're ready for the freezer. We're going to put the lid on it. And we're going to pop it in the freezer for an hour, and then we're going to start our burger. Containers for burgers are here. This is what we're going to use. And we're going to use this like this. Take this out. Take the lids off. We're going to cut this into, well, actually I think I can just rip it. Into squares. So we do that. And what I do is, I place it open like this, like that. I put the one burger down, and then I flip this over on top of the other burger. So there we go. So Here's our burger mix. Remember, we just made it, so it's perfect. Well, I don't mean like it's perfect, goddammit. You know what I mean. We're gonna add some bacon. Ta-da! Why they have not come out with a resealable bacon package is just beyond me. I don't know if you're like me, but for some reason, I cannot open up bacon without eating the entire pack. So I tend to freeze my bacon. So I already have some lunch bags out that I keep in the freezer for just such an occasion. And we're gonna take this apart and cut it like this because with bacon, you know, if you don't pull it apart, it sticks together and it'll stay stuck together throughout. And you really don't want that when it comes to, you know, making something like this. You're just gonna have like a giant chunk of a piece of bacon somewhere. And you wanna get the bacon throughout your whole meal. It doesn't have to be uniform. You can just cut to cut, which is what I like to do. I don't really have a system other than trying not to cut myself. So that's always a thing. Especially with my nails. I tend to cut my nails a lot when it comes to doing stuff with scissors. Funny, I can walk in a pair of high heels, but I can't cut food with scissors without cutting myself. I should stop talking like that because you know what's going to happen is I'm going to end up I'm going to end up actually cutting myself. And also, by freezing it the way I do, it also helps me with portion control. Because again, like I said, I like to eat bacon. No, I'm kidding. I'm lying. I love to eat bacon. There's no like about it. It started out with a like, it turned into lust, and now it's a full-on love affair with the bacon. And now we are going to just set those aside over there. We've got our bags here. Let's open them up. And I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 per bag. We'll see how many that turns out to be. Just shove it in the bag. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also, tip, not just my French tip, but a tip. If you want to make bacon on the barbecue, a really great way to get crispy, gorgeous, amazing bacon is to freeze it first. Just saying. So we have an extra 4 pieces. So there we have breakfast for tomorrow. Ta-da! I'm going to pop these in the freezer once I get all the air out because, you know, the air in these bags takes up an awful lot of space if you don't pump the air out of them when you're putting them into your freezer. There we go. Oh, if you're wondering about the seasoning that's in here, the seasoning that's in here is actually, it's a garlic chicken seasoning that I have this herb and garlic chicken that I love so much. And instead of rinsing the bag like I should, when I thawed, I just refreeze it. All right, so we're going to just fold this up, throw it back in. It's not a big deal. I have learned the hard way though, when it comes to bacon. Bacon does go bad, and I know it's a sacrilege that I'm even saying that because, well, that means that I didn't eat it fast enough, which is kind of gross. But there we go. There's our chunks of bacon, and our very last piece for our burgers is the blue cheese. Now, blue cheese has a very strong taste to it, so I'm not going to use this whole pack. I'm only going to use half of it, maybe not even that. But, here we go. And then we'll put the other half in there. So there it is. We're going to mix that all together. Now, when you're mixing it, pull everything through your fingers and crush it down. Especially the cheese. You don't want a big giant chunk of blue cheese like say that. So when you're mixing it through, just pull everything through your fingers. Anytime you feel a bump, start crushing it up in your fingers. And then mix it all around. Get it all good and mixed. There we go. Woo! Well, that's a stink, let me tell you. Some of you might be wondering how I get my burgers to always have the perfect burger shape. I'm going to show you. It's my MasterChef burger maker. So that's actually like a perfect burger right there. So what you do is, let's get our containers over here so we're not moving back and forth and back and forth. Back, forth and forth. Let me see go. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Grab about that much maybe. Flatten it down. See how well it gets in there. And then flip that over. You could use a little bit more. And what this will do is it flattens everything out so that it's almost the perfect shape of a burger patty. See? And then we put the first one in here on the wax paper. We don't want it sticking to anything. Fold the other side over and then put this back in. 1, 2. Ta-da! 2 perfectly formed burgers. How do you like them apples? Huh? And since we don't have quite enough for another full thing of burgers, I also have my slider one. So we're going to put this into the sink so we can clean that off right away. Now here's what I love about this slider one. It depends on how big you want them. You can decide. We're going to go with the, actually let's go with a 2 ounce. So that's what we're going to do right there. I think we can make 2 sliders, which would be great. And then when you want it out, you just push it down and slide it off. So there's 1 slider. Bring this back up to 2 ounces. Put it back in. And then, again, unscrew and pull it out, or push it through, it doesn't matter, it's up to you. And there we go. Ta-da! So that, my darlings, is how I make my homemade meatballs. There's a little piece of meat there, let's just add that there. That's how I make my homemade meatballs and my homemade burgers. Everything is from scratch. One of the things about being on hormones and being transgender is that I am at a high risk of heart disease, and being at a high risk of heart disease means I shouldn't eat a lot of sodium. And a lot of the processed foods out there have a lot of sodium in them. Even the ones that say, all natural ingredients, blah, 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 no preservatives. Well, the sodium is what they use to preserve it, which technically is a preservative, but it's not deemed a preservative by Health Canada or FDA. So, yeah. And there you have it. Homemade burgers, homemade sliders. I could have probably put that in a smaller container, but that's okay. And again, listen, we're gonna freeze these so that once frozen, we can thaw them. And the reason why my burgers are always so juicy and tasty is that hold on one second. Let's get those rinsed off. The reason why my burgers are always so tasty and always so moist and tender is that I actually cook them from half frozen. So I'll freeze them and then I will take them out the morning of, and then I will put them on the top of the burger thing. And the burger thing. That's the technical term, by the way. It's the burger thing. I'll put them on the barbecue on the top, and once I feel a certain temperature through them, then I will put them onto the bottom to char each side, and I will show you how to do that possibly in our next video. As always, at the end of every single video, there are three things that you can do. Number one, you can comment down below. If there's something you really, really, really want to see me cook, then ask and I will do it if I know how, and if I don't, then I'll try it. Number two, if you haven't already, don't forget to share this video with your friends, family, and coworkers. Number three, there is a button somewhere right down there, and it says subscribe. Don't forget to hit it. And as always, my darlings, I will catch you all on the flip side. I'm happy that you were here to learn how to make some homemade hamburgers and homemade meatballs. Feel free to comment and tell me how you make your meatballs, and we'll compare recipes. Until next time, bye.